Good evening, brethren. This video is late. It's 9:48 on Wednesday evening. I normally don't start videos this late, but for the last, I think, couple of Wednesdays, um, there's been a lot going on. And so it's been situations and circumstances have stopped me from actually doing a video on Wednesday night. And so this morning, and this is basically, I guess, an object lesson that we're going to go through today. It's an object lesson. First, I'm going to read a couple of Psalms. Shabbat Shalom, Imana Bakash, and Naviska 23. I said, happy Wednesday, not Shabbat Shalom, it's not Shabbat, but happy Wednesday to you. Shows you what kind of day it's been. I want to read a couple of Psalms today. Hey, Brother Wade, how are you, Superstar? Shalom and maturity approach. Shalom to you all. I want to read a couple of Psalms today. Generally, for myself, whenever I am severely tried, I reach for Psalms. A lot of times I reach for Psalms, and all 150 of them, at different times. And so I'm just going to read three of them today. One I've read recently, which is 32, and then Psalms 1 and Psalm 51. I'm right now at the tail end of 2 Samuel in my Bible reading. And so I just finished reading one of the parts. Some parts of the Bible are harder for me to read because I hate to see what happens, even though I know it's going to happen. The David and Bathsheba's story is hard for me to read. Watching a great king fall. Every time, of course, I learn from that, and we'll talk about that. I don't like reading that story that much because of what happened. You can see what happened. The book of Judges is also difficult because of the spiritual state our fathers were in when you're reading the book of Judges. Some really heavy things happened there. But that's where I'm at. I'm at 2 Samuel. I'm at the end, toward the end of it, as David is now being attacked by Absalom. First, I want to read Psalms 1. Psalms 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of Yahweh, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For Yahweh knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. Praise the Most High. It's a contrast between those that are godly and those that are ungodly, which brings me to Psalms 32, which defines those that are godly and those that are ungodly. It gives a definition in Psalms 32, and that's what I love about the King James. Please continue to read your Bibles. Read it through, and then when you're done, read it again. It defines itself. The references define each other, and so there are dictionary references for English language, right? Obviously. There are concordance references for Greek and Hebrew. But then there are references where the Bible defines itself. For example, we talk about the gospel. And someone would ask, what is the gospel? And we talk about how Christians would say the gospel is the good news of Jesus. And that's not what the Bible defines as the gospel. The gospel, as the Bible defines, as we know, is Romans chapter 1, verse 16 and 17, where it says, I am not ashamed of the gospel of Messiah. For it, that is the gospel, is the power of Yah unto salvation. So it tells you the gospel is Yah's power unto salvation to all that believe. And it says to the Jew first and also to the Greek. And then it says, for therein, that is in the gospel, is the righteousness of Yah revealed. So that's the gospel. It is Yah's power to reveal his righteousness in an individual that receives that gospel, that message. And gospel is the message. It is the message that causes a power to come upon the receiver by the Father's Spirit and causes Father's righteousness to be revealed. That's what the gospel is. Okay. And it's the message of Messiah. That is gospel message. It is the message of Messiah that gives power to reveal Father's righteousness. Okay. So that's the Bible definition of the gospel. So we just read just now in Psalms 1, the contrast between the godly and the ungodly. Well, one of the things we read just now is that the godly meditate on Yah's law. In his law doth he meditate day and night. And we'll talk more about that as we go into this little object lesson and testimony today. But let's let Psalms 32 show us, by definition, what does it mean to be godly? What does it mean to be godly? Psalms 32 tells us. Let's look at it. Psalms 32, beginning at verse 1. Blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Blessed is the man unto whom Yahweh imputeth not iniquity, in whose spirit there is no guile. When I kept silence, my bones waxed old through my roaring all the day long. For day and night thy hand was heavy upon me. My moisture is turned into the drought of summer. I acknowledged my sin unto thee, and my iniquity have I not hid. I said, I will confess my transgressions unto Yahweh, and thou forgavest the iniquity of my sin. For this, for what? For forgiveness of iniquity and sin, shall everyone that is godly pray unto thee in the time when thou mayest be found. For this, the forgiveness of sin and iniquity, for everyone that is godly, pray unto thee. So it says here, blessed is the man whose transgression is forgiven and whose sin is covered. Blessed is the man unto whom Yahweh will not impute iniquity. So who is that man? It is the man that confesses his transgression, that acknowledges his sin and seeks forgiveness from Yahweh. That is godliness. So let's go over it. So godliness is seeking Yahweh for the forgiveness of sin and iniquity and receiving from him forgiveness and having your sin covered and having iniquity not imputed to you. So we know that through Messiah, this takes place. So now godliness is confessing and acknowledging your sin and shortcomings and seeking Father's forgiveness for your sin. For this shall everyone that is godly pray unto thee. So the difference between the godly and the ungodly are not confessing sin and iniquity. They're not seeking the Father's forgiveness. They're not looking to have their sin covered by him through confession, through acknowledgement. They're trying to act like it doesn't exist or hide it or walk away from it. That's the ungodly. And it says that they are scornful. Okay, so they'll end up being scornful. Now, before we go to Psalm 51, let's talk about the object lesson. So this morning, I don't go into detail about every single facet of my life, but I try to tell y'all as much as I feel will help you in your life. And so there's been some things going on, recently that's been trying, for my wife and myself. And some days, I was just telling my wife yesterday, some days I feel like a valued asset that's indispensable, and other days I feel like a bum. You ever have that? So, and this morning, when I got up to pray this morning, I was praying to the Most High as I normally would. And I was seeking his righteousness, as I tell y'all to do. I was seeking for his spirit of righteousness for today. But today was a little different than most days. Today, I was seeking the Father's righteousness in a stronger way than usual. Like I had this spirit, and I was meditating on the Father's spirit as I was praying. And when I do that, I'm trying to seek, how can I glorify the Father? Because that's the object, isn't it? To bring glory to the Father is my reason for existence. It's for everyone that is a true servant of Father Yah. The reason for our existence is to glorify the Father. So I thought about that. I was meditating on it. And I thought, I could glorify the Father by obedience, but I need his spirit. Father, I need your spirit. I need your mercy and grace to cover me with your spirit, that I might have power to bring glory to you in obedience today. And the thought came to me, you need faith. And when that thought came to me, of course, I went to the scriptures in my mind, but without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to Yah must believe that he is, and that he is the rewarder of them that diligently seek him. This is the meditation that's going on in my mind as I'm on my knees praying. And I said, okay, I know that you're the God of the sevens, the God of all perfection, the God of all knowledge. I know that you are not only the most high foreknowledge, but real knowledge, that no knowledge exists without you. I acknowledge that there is no power except your power. And there's no deliverance without you through Messiah, your appointed means. Then came to me again. You want perfection. You need faith. So at that moment in my knees, as I'm meditating, I decided, okay, today, I'm going to make faith the focus. Now, you would think we would do that every day. But some days, your mind goes in all kinds of directions and you don't meditate or think on these things the way we should. At least I don't. But today I did. And I said, okay, today, and I thought about it. And I said, you know what? I can't think about tomorrow, what might come, what might not come, or what happens or what might not happen tomorrow. And yesterday is past. And when I sought forgiveness from the Father, that's for yesterday and days past. That had nothing to do with today. But today, I decided I wanted to walk in faith today. I wanted to walk in faith and trust the Father's righteousness with all my heart today, consciously. And brethren, and I decided it didn't matter how the day was going to go. It didn't matter if I got good news. I was consciously thinking about this. It didn't matter if I got good news, if I got bad news. I was determined. No matter what happened today, I was going to be strong in faith. I was going to give glory to Father, regardless. Okay. So I got up and I didn't say anything to anybody but what I had just prayed, particularly my wife. I didn't say anything. And I engaged in this conversation. My wife was already on a computer working. And I said something and she said something. And I said, I just told you. I've been saying that. Like if she repeats a thing I just told her, I'll say, I just told you. Immediately, bro, I just got up off my knees like 5 or 10 minutes before that. And I caught myself. I said, wait a minute, man, you can't talk to her like that. And in my mind, I said, ask for forgiveness. Can't talk to her like that. And I came back at her softly. And I realized, bruh, you in for a battle today. But I was up for it because I had prayed, right? Now, we have talked before about this, brethren. And and I know the people that can get to us, right? People who could get to you more than anybody else. Well, I already mentioned my wife, right? There's my children. I have 4 of them. My grandchildren, my mother, my father, and my siblings. They have the ability. And there's cousins and aunts, family. And the closer they are to you, the more power they have to get to you, even when they're not trying. Now, this did not come to my mind right away, but when I met my wife this morning, it did. I was like, okay, all right. First test today is with my spouse. I got to stay cool. I got to stay positive. I'm walking in faith today. Now, I also realized that I wasn't perfect. I had to realize that, because if you think you're going to, and I thought, if I think I'm going to walk through this day perfect, I'm going to fail already. It wasn't my goal to be perfect. It was my goal to stay in faith, trusting Father's righteousness, to not lose sight of faith. That was my goal. So when I misspoke with my wife, I caught myself. Okay. Lesson 1, brethren, when you're seeking to walk in faith, family, family coming, family's coming. So then the day I was prepared, but the day started flowing. I had to do some things, spend extra time, extra money. But again, I was ready for that. No problem. No problem. Walking in faith today. And I felt good doing it. Felt good. The day was long. I was I'm selling some of my father's stuff, old stuff that he has in the house, exercise equipment, so on and so forth. And we were moving heavy stuff, in people's cars. I'm buying some used furniture for my wife and I, have the house, picking up, running all over the place today in faith now. I'm feeling good. Then I'm sitting with my dad, my father, and I can see him worried. He's worried about a certain other family member. And I know he's worried about it. And I could see it on his face. So I wanted to cheer him up. So I have an aunt in Brooklyn. See, we in Florida, my aunt's in Brooklyn. So I said, why don't you call Aunt Weenie, Because I thought, he likes it. I said, when's the last time you talked to Aunt Weenie? He said, I ain't talked to her in a while. I said, let's call her. So he reached for the phone and he had trouble. So then I called her on my phone, put on the speaker. And, he cheered up talking to my aunt. But of course, the conversation went to this other family member of mine. Oh, before we get to that point, let me also tell you, during the course of the day, the devil was bringing thoughts to my mind and causing me to start to get angry in my thoughts. And I kept catching it. I said, got you, devil. I said, wait a minute, I got you. I'm staying in faith today. I'm going to tell you, that ever happened to you? You find your thoughts going somewhere. Either anger, could be sex, not with your woman. It could be something. And you just receiving it without realizing you're receiving it, but I caught it. I said, oh. Got you, devil. You're not going to get me like that today. I know where them thoughts are coming from. And I caught it. Praise the Most High. And I felt good because, brethren, when you catch it, when you see it coming, because you see what I understand, which I'm going to share with you, you think it's your thoughts. Because you know why? Because the devil brings it to you so often. It becomes like automatic. He bringing the thought to you. It becomes automatic to you. Like I walked into the bathroom and the bathroom was a certain way and my wife left it like that. And a thought came to me and I said, not today. Not today. And I caught it. Okay. And I stopped myself. Then other thoughts would come to different points of the day at different times. And I realized who it was that was bringing those thoughts. And I called out to the Most High and praised him because he caught it. So that had been going on during the course of the day at different times. And I want to tell y'all, aside from family, there's thoughts that will come. And the thoughts have come to you so often before. And you have reacted usually with an anger, with a lust, with an emotion that's ungodly, right? And you have caught it before and flowed with it. But now I'm telling you where it's coming from. Our Satan permitted to come to you like that. When Messiah fasted the 40 days, and that's how Asatan came to him. He came to him in his thought process. If you be the Son of Man, make these stones into bread. He had to catch who that was coming from and thwart it with the word. So I caught it by the grace of the Most High today. Okay, and I have been doing that all day when I sat down to talk to my father. I was eating, and he was eating, and we sat down, and he had just finished, and I was eating my food, my dinner. And I said, why don't you call Weenie? So he called. We talking. Then this other family member came up. Now, one of the thoughts that came to me today that was negative was about this certain family member, and I caught it. But now she brings it up. And I felt my spirit going back to anger, brethren. And I kept consciously trying to stay cool by the grace of the Most High. Now, I don't know if I was successful. I didn't yell or anything. I was just trying to stay in faith. And that one thing also I remembered, that I learned from today that I want to share with you. Faith is forward. Faith is looking forward, not backwards. When you're looking backwards, that's not faith. When you're looking backwards, usually there's a problem. You want to look forward. And that's what I kept finding myself, looking forward and trusting the Most High's righteousness going forward today, in this day. And I said, I'm trusting you today going forward. Can't worry about the past. Can't worry about yesterday. And then the scripture says that through the gospel of the Messiah, we get forbearance for the sins of the past. Brethren, the past becomes important because, in that sense, because we've sinned in the past. When you sinned, you've done it, right? So you ask for forgiveness for sins of the past. And in that regard, our judgment is based on what we've already done. Sins of the past, right? And sometimes, well, a lot of times, to be quite honest, how we are, what we are, where we are now is based on things that happened in the past. Some things we controlled, some decisions we made, and some things we had nothing to do with. But it's still the past, and we're trying to move forward in faith. And that's what I learned today. Keep looking forward and trust in your Father. Trust in his word. Trust in his spirit, but go forward. And isn't that, I realized today also, when the Father sent Moses to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt, and he led them a certain way purposely to get them hemmed in, so that the Egyptians would have them hemmed in, and there'd be no place for them to go. And Moses called out to the Most High, and the Most High said, why are you yelling to me? Tell the people to move forward. And brethren, one of the things I learned today that I want to share, move forward. Look forward in faith to your Father. I've learned that just today. By experience, not just theory. Brothers and sisters, in the next few years, we're going to be going through some things. And the key for us getting through them, the key for us is faith. I often talk about how it's the Father working in us to perfect us and to prepare us for the seal with our permission. But our part is not only to give permission, but to move forward in faith with the Father. You see, brethren, you and I know the scripture that says he is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And I always tell you that he's above dimensions. He's above time and space. He created, Father did, time and space on the earth. But he's above time and space in that he's already in the future, and he's already in the past, and he's already in the present at the same time. And he's leading us forward to where he is in the future. I know that's deep, but it's true. And so we must look forward. Also came to me today that the reason the Father has us looking forward in faith, believing in his righteousness, is because Adam failed. Adam could see the Father. Before he sinned, he could see the Father. He could look upon his Father. Adam was in perfect righteousness. But Adam did not believe the word of the Father. He believed the word of his wife and of his enemy, who his father warned him about. And because of that, our Father in heaven demands that if we're going to stay to eternity with him in Messiah Yahushua, he's not going to show us himself. He show us his word. And he demands that by faith we believe his word, because Adam did not believe his word. That came to me today. You know, we have millions of thoughts that come through our mind every day. We have millions of thoughts that come through our mind every day. So all of this came through my mind today. But I was saying, Adam failed. Adam could see the Father. And he failed because he didn't believe Father's word. Father demands us, if we're going to be his, if we're going to be perfected, we must believe his word through faith. So here my aunt brings up this relative. And I could feel the anger coming up in me. And I asked my father, my earthly father, Pop, how much rent did our relative pay you while he was staying in your house these 7 years? My father just looked at me, which means zero. And my father told my aunt, you know, Todd's going to call the sheriff. I said, you can't do that. And I said, I can't be responsible for a grown man. I can't have a grown man living in my house, just living off me. And brethren, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't. But I know what? I have to follow my Heavenly Father. I have to follow his word. I have to trust in his righteousness. Whatever his spirit instructs me and my wife to do, because it has to be both of us, that's what we're going to do. It's not that much longer, but I know that's what happens. And I'm saying all that to say, today was a faith walk, a battle. And brethren, all of us every day, as we're seeking to glorify the Father, are going to go through a battle. And you cannot go through the battle of 10 days in one day. It's just today. And then I realized the importance of the prayer this morning, because it really strengthened me and gave me some wisdom as I've gone through this one day. There was triumphs and there was trials. There was temptation and there was answers to prayer. All today. And it was just one day. And then I realized we got to just take one day at a time. Each day brings victories, trials, mistakes, battles, all in the spirit. All in the spirit. Again, the spirit world is more powerful than the physical world. Everything in the physical world is an outgrowth of what has happened in the spiritual world. The Father would have you and I walk in his spirit, live in his spirit, trust in his spirit, the righteousness that causes us to overcome. That's right. Everything that's physical is simply a manifestation of what's going on in the spirit world. Father wants us tapped into his spirit. Yah is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. And what that means is while Adam could see him, like I mentioned, and one day we're going to see him, he demands us now obey his word without seeing him by his spirit, which he will give us one day at a time. Watch your family. They'll be the ones to try you the most. Everybody else is easy. Everybody else is easy. Fam, there's a thin line between love and hate. It's a thin line. And so it caused me to remember you all my brothers who I know are dealing with the same thing every day. It caused me to remember how the scriptures say. In fact, let's take a look at it. I was going to Psalm 51, but instead I'm going to go to Malachi. Malachi. Chapter 3. Malachi chapter 3. And I'm going to begin at verse 16 and go down to verse 18 of Malachi chapter 3. Malachi is an end time book, is an end time prophetic book of prophecy among many. Malachi chapter 3, verses 16, 17, and 18. Then they that feared Yahweh spake often one to another, and Yahweh hearkened and heard it. And a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared Yahweh and that thought upon his name. And they shall be mine, says Yahweh of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels. I will spare them as a man spareth his own son that serveth him. Then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that feareth Yah and him that serveth him not. We spake often one to another. To me, that also means we're praying for each other. We're encouraging each other. And brethren, I always pray for this, for the Most High scattered flock of Israel, along with the brothers that I see all the time here in the room and who we have met in fellowship. Some of us know we have met in fellowship. Some of y'all, we have done baptisms. I pray that the Most High strengthen you daily, one day at a time, in your walk of faith and righteousness in believing the word of the Father by his spirit of perfect righteousness. And I know you all are praying for me because it's the only way I got through. I pray also, but I know y'all are praying for me. I can feel it. And I praise the Most High. And the Bible says that the Father takes note of that. And he puts it in a book of remembrance that we're praying for each other, that we're encouraging each other. And that's what the Messiah meant when he said we should love each other. He wasn't talking about just love people you don't know. He was talking about your brethren. He told his disciples, have love one for another. Have love one for another. That's what he was talking about. Us as brethren loving each other. Because brothers and sisters, again, we know we easily disrespect each other. Especially when we get to know each other. We can shuck and jive a little bit. That's all good. But we should love each other as brethren. We should pray for each other. We should seek the Father's righteousness one day at a time. So pray for me. And I asked the Father, and I did ask him for his wisdom. And that's what we need, all of us. I know I needed it today. I asked him for wisdom because brothers and sisters, all of us have decisions. You have decisions you have to make on a daily basis. I have decisions I have to make on a daily basis. All of us do. And I pray the Father for his wisdom I remember I was praying for that this morning also. I said, Father, you have eternal wisdom. Nobody has wisdom like you. You are where wisdom comes from. And so I asked the Father to guide me in decision making with his wisdom. Because if I'm guided by his eternal wisdom, I can't mess up, right? As far as decision making, because I just want to please him all the time. And I know you do too. May he bless you and keep you and cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May he lift up his countenance upon you with his eternal wisdom and give you peace. Shalom.